Hello, jazz band. Man, I'm happy to be able to say that to you finally this quarter. I wanted to give a proper welcome to all the new folks that we have in jazz band this quarter and kind of give you some help in starting to figure out what the blues are and how we go about learning to make up our own music or improvise over the blues form. Sorry for the weird lighting. I had to change locations in my house, and it just isn't as good as lighting here. I'll work on it for next time. So for now, let's get into it. The blues is a very old form of music, and it actually predates what we call jazz music. So it existed before what we call jazz and became one of the ingredients to current jazz. So that's important to realize that it just was before what big band swings, especially. Okay. Over time, it became a standard form so that you can go anywhere pretty much in the world now and say, let's play some B flat blues, and they will probably know what you're talking about and understand that there's a specific set of chords in a specific way. And so that's super fun because then you can go with your buddies somewhere else and not have to teach them all. But if they know what the blues are, they can play with you. So that's super fun. All right. If you picked up some of those handouts that I gave out yesterday in band, you might want to grab those and follow along with it. And let's get started. I have a couple of screens to share with you, so hopefully this will work fast. Sometimes it takes a while to show up. All right, so the first thing we need to do is understand how to build a chord, and this is just the most basic way I can think of. We're going to be working in the concert key of B flat, because that's what we use the most often when we're in class for improvisation. And on that sheet I gave you, I told you that you really only need 3 chords for our most basic blues, and that is the 1-7 chord, the 4-7 chord, and the 5-7 chord. And if you are very new to theory, you might be thinking, I have no idea what any of that means. Don't worry, we're going to try to figure that out. 1 just simply means this is the keynote of the scale. Okay, so if I say play the concert B flat scale starting on 1, you're going to play B flat, right? That's the key note. Transpose, of course, if you have a transposing instrument. But let's work in concert pitch. So the 1 is the very first note of the scale. So in B flat, the 1 chord starts on B flat. So this is bass clef. I'm going to add a B flat. Just going to double it so it's that ladder. And then we're going to build what I call snowman chords, because the simplest way to build a chord is to just stack the interval of a third on top of each other, and it becomes like a snowman if you use whole notes. So a third above B flat is D, a third above D is F, and we're going to do a flat third for the 7th, and it sounds super cool, A flat. So you see hopefully why I call them snowman chords, because they're just stacked on top of each other like those big balls of snow. All right, so now we have to build a 4 chord, and how do we get to 4? We count up from 1, right? So we have B flat, C, D, E flat. So 4 is E flat. Gonna stick the E flat down there, and we're gonna double it up here. So there's an E flat. Third above that is G. Third above that is B flat, and then again we're gonna use the flat 7. Okay. Now we need 5. 5 is 1 more than 4, right? So F, F, A, D, and E flat's already in the key signature. And then just back to 1. E flat, D, F, A flat. Okay, simple things, right? It's not hard, but if you've never done it before, somebody has to tell you, right? So here's what those sound like. Okay, and your ear will quickly become very accustomed to hearing those sounds, and you'll be able to tell, oh, that sounds like 4. Even in other keys than B flat, your ear doesn't really care, and it's just going to say, oh, that's a 4, that's a 5 chord. And it doesn't take very long, so that's exciting news. So these 3 chords, the 1, the 4, and the 5, with a 7th attached, are what we're going to use to build our blues form. And on that sheet of paper, I should have written for you that the blues is a form that is usually 12 bars long or 12 measures long in 4/4 time. And the first 4 measures are all just simply the 1 chord. It doesn't change chords at all. So you play 1 chord for 4 measures. Then you have 2 measures of the 4 chord. That's this one right here. Then back to 1 again. So you have 1, 1, 1, 1, 4, 4, 1, 1. And then we only have 4 measures left of our form. We go 5 for 1 measure, 4 for 1 measure, and then back to 1. And then it just repeats as many times as you want to. There are other variations of this. This is the most simple way I can explain it. And this is basically what we use in our class. So you'll be able to play with us quite shortly. So if you put it all together with a rhythm section, this is what it looks like. So I've got those chord symbols on top, and here's our snowman chords, right? A little bit simpler. And I've got a bass line and a drum set here going. So I'm just going to play this and let you hear the form. And sometimes over the recording, the little lighting of where we are in the form isn't in sync with the sound. So hopefully it's not too bad. But just know that it's 4 beats in a measure. We're going to keep going. Here we go. This is what it sounds like. Over. Back to 1. 5, 4, 1. Okay. It won't take you very long at all, and you will start to just know without even having to see it written down. Just by sound, you'll say, oh, we're at the 4 point. Now we're going to go back to 1. And it just becomes kind of something you just know, and you can hear it. And in fact, you have heard this your whole life, because most Western pop music, or a lot of it anyway, uses this chord progression. They just don't call it the blues, but this basic, especially the last part, the 5 to 4 and 1, is just a very standard chord progression. So your ear's already used to hearing this. Now your brain is involved, and you can put some names to what you're hearing. Let's hear it one more time. This is 2 choruses, and see if you can hear when it starts the new chorus. Now, beginning. So that's what the rhythm section is playing underneath you. And if you are not in the rhythm section, or if it's your turn to solo, now you have a whole nother problem. And that problem is, how do I know what notes to play that sound good with this chords underneath? And that brings us to that second sheet, which is the blues scale. And I call this the magic scale because it happens to sound very lovely, or very bluesy, very jazzy with all three of those chords. So even if you don't really understand what I mean when I say the 4/7 chord, you can still solo if you know the blues scale for that key. So really, the only thing you need to know to start being able to improvise a solo is to memorize the blues scale for B flat for your instrument. So let's talk about that a little bit. If you are a tenor saxophone player or a trumpet player, your concert B flat is C, and that happens to be the first one on the sheet, so that's happy news. And so here's your blues scale. Okay, it's not that earth-shattering. It's just pretty cool. It isn't your major scale. It's not a minor scale. This is the blues scale. It's just a different form. Okay. If you play alto sax or bari sax, your concert B flat scale starts on G. So your blues scale B flat also starts on G. Okay. If you play trombone, you don't have to change at all. It is the B flat one, and that's these notes. Okay, pretty simple. So you on the sheet, you have lots of them. You really only need at this point the one that corresponds to your instrument. Piano and bass are all concert instruments. Flute is a concert instrument, so you don't have to transpose. You probably already knew that. It is a good idea to learn the blues scale in several keys, just like your major scales, because you may get with a group that say, hey, let's do F blues. And then you will need a whole new scale. And if you don't know it, then you're going to feel like, oh, I kind of know blues, but I don't know, still can't play it. So you can use these notes to create or just make up a melody using any combination or order of these. You do not have to go right in order, of course. You can pick and choose and repeat them. And the main point is just that all of these notes sound okay. They sound good. And even if you get lost in the form and because you're thinking about what notes to play, and then you all of a sudden you have no idea what chord we're on if we're improvising in the class, then you just stick with a scale and you'll be fine. Okay, so this makes it a really accessible, really easy way to begin. If you only use the blues scale, eventually all of your solos are going to sound kind of like the same. And it's not going to be super satisfying for you or for the listener after a while, because there is no closure or sense of form to the blues scale. It just kind of goes on forever. And so you can kind of think of it as when you're learning how to speak. So if you've had little brothers or sisters or done some babysitting and you hear things like water, me want, stuff like that. If you only use the blues scale in your solos, it's going to sound kind of like water, me want. But eventually you'll learn more. So don't worry about it. If you're just starting out, the blues scale is perfectly acceptable. It's fine. Don't worry about it not being good enough. And so what you should learn is the blues scale for your instrument in B flat. and also what notes the 1, 4, and 5 chords start on for your instrument in key of B flat, concert B flat. So if you do that, then if I say something like play the roots of chords in the background while somebody solos, then you'll be able to do that because the root is just the name of the chord. So the root of B flat is B flat. The root of F is F, okay? It's just the 1, the first pitch of the major scale, okay? So hopefully that didn't confuse anybody. Eventually we'll add all kinds of things to this. If you want some practice doing this before you have to do it in class, which you will have to do it in class very soon, there are many, many tracks on YouTube that you can put on and just play around with it. You can do a search for B flat blues backing track is what I would say in the search on YouTube, and it'll go on for hours. You just keep playing over and over and over those 12 measures until you start being comfortable with just making it up. It's okay just to play the roots for the whole measure or make up a rhythm with just the roots. Your solo is what you make it. So that is very freeing for some people and very terrifying for other people, because if you want a specific thing to do so you do it right, this can be kind of daunting. Just know that as long as you stay in the key, you're right. And even if you're not in the key, just come back to us. It'll be okay. It's all a learning process, and so wherever you are, that's where you start. Okay. I hope this helps a little bit. I am beyond excited to get jazz started up again. I thought your sight reading was awesome yesterday, and I really appreciate the hard work you did to kind of remember how to articulate some of these things. Veteran players, I really appreciate how hard you work to help the new people get kind of situated, and the kindness that you showed them and the welcoming atmosphere in our group. I really appreciate that. So I was proud of you yesterday, and I hope that you were too. And I hope you were as excited as I was to get back together again. I will see you on Thursday. Happy improv.